The January 13th meeting of the East Penn Board of School Directors is hereby called to order. I'll ask that everyone remain standing for moments of silence after the Pledge of Allegiance in memory of Dennis Mullen, an instructional assistant in West Coastville, who passed away on December 14th. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first order of business is request to address the board. I have one request from Nate Garcia of Emmaus, Pennsylvania on course requirements.
Hello, everybody. All right. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the school board for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Nate Garcia. I'm a senior at Emmaus High School who takes 2 AP art classes as part of my full schedule. I'm heavily involved in EHS's art department as well as its journalism program. In the past year, I've been lucky enough to win 2 national awards for my craft, both with the art department as well as for editorial cartooning. In fact, this past Saturday, I was in Philadelphia at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Art for an opening reception of an exhibit tour featuring my mixed media drawing, Trojan Cow. The piece, created in room 517 in the building next door from where we are, is one of 50 Scholastic National Golden Key award-winning pieces to be selected for the U.S. tour. Interestingly, I'm also a student who may not be able to graduate this year. Why? I am missing a .25 gym credit from my 9th grade school year. For the record, I did not attend Emmaus High School during my 9th grade year, nor did I attend EHS during my 10th grade year. In fact, during my junior year, I transferred to Emmaus High School from Lehigh Valley Charter High School of the Arts, where I studied visual art, obviously. Due to heavy artistic involvement of the curriculum, unfortunately, physical education was not offered at this school. When I transferred to Emmaus in my junior year, I learned that I missed many credits that the district requires. So in 11th grade, I took the sophomore requirements, aquatics, driver's education, and health. Additionally, I took another gym class and an Adobe Photoshop class for a computer credit. Last year, I effectively took 2 gym classes, an aquatics course, and a general fitness course. It wasn't until November of my senior year that I was informed by my guidance counselor that I was missing a quarter credit from my freshman year. I understand that the typical 4-year MA student is required to take 4 gym classes, but as a transfer student entering the school in my junior year, the requirement is nothing short of ridiculous. I would understand if I was given notice of the lacking credit in the beginning of my education at Emmaus High School, but the fact that I was notified a mere 2 months ago is ridiculous. While I appreciate the mistake being caught, no one should be barred from graduation due to credits they cannot earn at another school, especially when those credits put undue stress on high-performing students. If the missing 1 quarter gym credit was not brought to my attention near the end of the first quarter of my senior year, long after many slots in my schedule could have been used to make it up, I would not be able to graduate on time. I am now set to take 3 AP exams this spring, 2 concentrations in AP Studio Art and AP Art History. My schedule at the beginning of this year said I would take 1 quarter credit of PE in the second semester while enjoying the privilege of late arrival on alternating days. I also had a study hall this past semester which could have been filled by the missing gym class, and 2 study halls the second semester of junior year without a mention from the guidance department. These here are multiple missed opportunities by guidance to make school life easier, something that should be in both of our best interests. As it stands, I am currently scheduled to take gym every day during the second semester. On average, every student in Emmaus High School takes 1 gym a year for half the days of half the year. Please keep in mind that I did not fail a gym class, nor did I intentionally not take a gym or opt out. Unfortunately, this situation is the victim of guidance error. I transferred 2 years after a 9th grade gym class was to even me. It is important the district recognize the rigidity for students who transfer into the East Penn School District, especially those transferring from charter schools. So, while my artwork makes its rounds across the country and has been recognized with the hashtag EastPennProud on the district's Instagram and Twitter page, I'd like to think my use of time is more valuable preparing my portfolio and preparing for college. My senior year of school is integral to my success, and this oversight by the school has thrown a wrench into my plans. My grades for my college education and career should be my top priority, rather than having to make up a 2.5 gym credit for a time when I was attending a different school. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Okay, moving on to approval of minutes. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now I have a district update from Mrs. Campbell.
I want to first, as always, thank our students for coming forward and sharing concerns with us. Nate, based on the situation you described, certainly I'm very sorry to hear about that. And on a positive note, I want to say that we have, your name is very familiar to our school board, as it was just a couple months ago when I believe we highlighted his outstanding accomplishments in East Penn. I did want to provide the community with an update in terms of our secondary start time. You might recall earlier this year, we talked about, we do have a district level committee that is investigating the current high school start time and whether or not any changes to that start time might be appropriate. And so I, again, wanted to just provide everyone with an update in terms of the work that has happened so far. In particular, the work right now this year is really happening at Emmaus High School, and we have a group of individuals at the building level who are actually looking at our Emmaus High School schedule and how time is currently used, including the challenges and the benefits of the current high school schedule. And what I mean by that, that includes the 9-period day, 42 minutes for each period, transitions in between each classes, our lunch periods, our Wednesday schedule. So looking at that holistically and making and providing feedback in terms of the advantages as well as any disadvantages. Our community likely recalls that just recently in December, we administered a survey to Emmaus High School students, Emmaus High School teachers, and East Penn parents regarding their perceptions of the challenges and benefits of the current high school schedule. And so our committee, the Use of Time Committee at the high school, is planning to reconvene next week so that we can really delve into the feedback that we have from all of those stakeholders regarding the challenges and the benefits of the current schedule. Our goal would then be that the committee would meet on average about every month to 6 weeks, and now look at, based on the feedback that we have from all of our stakeholders, are there other models that better meet the needs of East Penn, ultimately East Penn students at Emmaus High School? And so our committee will be working again monthly throughout this spring to potentially develop alternative schedules. And we do have plans to bring those schedules forward to small stakeholder groups and gain further feedback about the perceived advantages and/or challenges of any revised schedules that come forward. Our ultimate goal would be that by June of 2020, so at the end of this school year, that we would be able to make community and school board presentations regarding any proposed schedules for Emmaus High School that we feel really best or better meet the needs of Emmaus High School students than our current schedule. So again, we anticipate that we would have some schedules for the school board and the community to take a look at by this June of 2020. As the work is progressing, our district is planning to continue to connect with our community and continue presentations regarding adolescent sleep and well-being. And we anticipate that those presentations will continue this spring of 2020. So I just wanted to highlight the work that is happening this spring at Emmaus High School, and to confirm that any potential schedule changes for Emmaus High School would likely not take place until the 2021-22 school year, because as you can appreciate, if we're bringing forward models and gaining stakeholder feedback at the end of this year, we certainly would not be poised or in a position to be able to implement any proposed changes to the schedule for next school year. So we would then be able to use next school year to plan for any schedule changes that might be recommended. And the first time that you would see a new schedule would potentially then be the 2021-22 school year. So again, the goal was just to provide a high-level overview in terms of the work that continues to happen, and also to give individuals a sense of a timeline as to when, if any, schedule changes might happen, when it would be feasible. I also have some celebrations that I'd like to share with the community. In particular, this is a reminder that our 8th to 9th grade transition process has officially begun. Last week on January 28th, Emmaus High School counselors and administration facilitated our guidance information night, and that evening was specifically designed for our incoming freshman students to Emmaus High School. Participants had an opportunity to learn about Emmaus High School, take a tour, learn a little bit about the course selection process. And we had our department chairs and various club and activity leaders present throughout the building, just so that individuals could begin to orient themselves with Emmaus High School. And so those transition activities will continue this spring. The next step in the process is that our 8th graders will now actually go through the course selection process. So as that course selection process continues, I anticipate that I'll then be able to bring some information back to the board with regard to the Jasper program and what that enrollment is beginning to look like as we head into the spring. So I just wanted to give a special thanks to our high school administration, our Emmaus High School counseling department, as well as the counselors from both of our middle schools, all of whom were present to really make that night a great success for everyone. I also wanted to recognize our LCTI Students of the Month from Emmaus High School. In October, Owen Mutchler from the Plumbing and Heating was Student of the Month, and also Chad Grafe, representing Supply Chain Management and Logistics Technology. In November, we were very proud of Greg Ebert, who was recognized from LCTI from the Supply Chain Management and Logistics Technology program as well. I also wanted to congratulate our 8th grade student writers from Lower Macungie Middle School who are a part of Mrs. Shingler's language arts class. Her 8th graders participated in a writing contest entitled Mission Contamination, and that contest was sponsored by an organization known as Young Writers USA. And of the over 120 students who entered, we had about 60 students from Lower Macungie Middle School whose essays were chosen and will be published in a book by the Young Writers USA. And finally, we have a host of individuals from our teams who are recognized for their outstanding accomplishments so far this school year. Emmaus Field Hockey is being recognized as the Morning Calls Team of the Year. Emmaus High School Field Hockey Coach Sue Butstaven is being recognized also as the Morning Coach of the Year. Congratulations to Annika Urbine for being identified as the Morning Call Field Hockey Player of the Year. And also congratulations to Macy Van Den Elzen for being the Morning Call Girls Volleyball Player of the Year. Macy was also acknowledged as the American Volleyball Coaches Association Under Armour All-American. And just this morning, we were notified that Macy also earned the honor of the Gatorade Pennsylvania Volleyball Player of the Year. So she's certainly having a great season. We'd also like to congratulate Brendan McCourt. You might recall we met Brendan last spring, I believe, who was a state diving champ, and just this past season, he has already set his own school diving record this season. And finally, congratulations to our Emmaus High School cheerleading team. They were identified as the District 11 champs in a recent cheer competition in December. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell. Are there any questions? Dr. Munson.
Yeah, I have one question related to the registrations at the high school. I don't know if it is different this year than it has been in the past, but this year I noticed that the students were being asked to register for courses in what seemed very early in the school year. So they don't even have midterm grades for today's class, for the classes they're in now, and they're being asked to sign up for classes next year. Has the timeline changed, and what is the need to have that information? What's happening in all of these months that they need that information now?
Ms. Whitman, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but has the timeline changed at all? I don't believe so.
Not for the 8th to 9th, for the high school students, the process has changed a little bit.
Okay.
The teacher recommendations and what's happening online, so we see more of a shuffling of paper that prolonged the process before we went to the new system. But I don't believe it's notably, I can check, I'll double check that. Like typically, this is when she starts to, the academic assistant principal will start to create, get assistant tallies to start creating the courses.
Okay. And students are doing that process online as well, correct?
Yes.
Some of that is happening online instead of paper.
Instead of paper.
We can get a little bit more detail in terms of the rationale for that timeline maybe being accelerated a bit.
That's fine. I don't know. I'm not suggesting that it has changed,
Yeah.
only that I've noticed it for the first time. And I'm all for streamlining the process, but and I don't need I'm not sure the board needs a full-blown report on the day-by-day blows of how this is put together. But if it is true that this information sits in a database somewhere and is not being actively worked on each week, it seems awfully early to ask students to make these choices. And so it would be useful to look at that.
Sure.
Mrs. Bowman?
Sure. Just a couple comments. I'm very happy to hear that the school start time committee or task force, whatever it's called, is moving forward, and very much looking forward to presentations in the spring. As I've mentioned before, I think this is an incredibly important subject for us to be looking into, and looking forward for us to be able to do something so simple yet so positive for our kids. And the other comment I just wanted to make is I'm always happy to hear from our students, and always blown away by how eloquent you are when you come to the podium. And just, it always helps me to see that someone's teaching someone something, obviously, when our kids can come up here and talk before the board and give such a impassioned, persuasive argument for or against whatever it is they're coming to speak about. So thank you for impressing me, and hopefully we can do something about that situation. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you. Moving on to personnel, I have a note of a change in item 9. The rate, the hourly rate for Darlene Rinker should not be changed. It was a cut and paste error, so her new position is also $17.84 an hour. With that change, may I have a motion for the personnel items and the co-curricular appointments?
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? Mrs. Allen, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Bowman?
Aye.
Mr. Byrd?
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski?
Aye.
Dr. Levinson?
Aye.
Dr. Munson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Winch?
Aye.
Dr. Bacher?
Aye.
8 ayes.
Motion passes. Moving on to business operations. Just note that there, for item E, there's no motion listed, but the motion is to accept the contracts that are there. May I have a motion for items, and item F is for information to be included in the minutes. May I have a motion for item A through E?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Allen, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Byrd?
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski?
Aye.
Dr. Levinson?
Aye.
Dr. Munson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Winch?
Aye.
Ms. Bowman?
Aye.
Dr. Bacher?
Aye.
8 ayes.
Motion's pass. Moving on to educational conferences. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Allen, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Jankowski?
Aye.
Dr. Levinson?
Aye.
Dr. Munson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Ms. Winch?
Aye.
Ms. Bowman?
Aye.
Mr. Byrd?
Aye.
Dr. Bacher?
Aye.
8 ayes.
Motion passes. Next, report on the Carbon Lehigh Intermediate Union. Ms. Bowman?
Sure. So our last December meeting was pretty swift, mostly because the meeting was online due to, I think we were having a sleeting storm or something. The only big thing is that we did officially vote for the operating budget, which was largely what I had mentioned the meeting before, a slight difference because they got the PSERS rate back, and that actually decreased the district contribution by a tiny little bit from like 820,000 to 819. But overall, not much of a difference to us. And everything else that I'd already reported is still the same.
Are there any questions or comments for Ms. Bowman? Moving on to LCTI, Dr. Levinson?
Yes, so we did meet in December, on Wednesday, December 11th. That evening started with the annual holiday party, delicious meals prepared by the students in LCTI. The highlight of that meal was recognition of 3 JOC members who are stepping out of board service, and I think they said among the 3 people that were stepping down had a combined 70-some years of educational experience, albeit one person had 50 years because he was a teacher. Still, very impressive to see how dedicated people are to service, not only teaching, but at board-level service. The first meeting that night was a reorganization meeting where we voted on and elected Gary Fedorsha from Northern Lehigh School District as chairperson, and David Hine from Parkland School District as vice chair. Additionally, we approved the calendar and the newspapers for legal advertisement. The second part of the night was the main meeting where we received an update on the welding lab, which of course continues to be on track and on budget, with a grand opening scheduled for Wednesday, February 5th. I think people are really looking forward to having that up and running and moving operations there so they could free up space for other activities they have at the school. Several administrative reports were given. The highlights include the creation of a facilities committee or within the Budget Finance Committee to help address a number of infrastructure issues and overall planning and oversight project work that's coming up for LCTI. They also presented a progress on the formation of career trees. This was a very interesting project where they put together what looked like visual mural posters that they're going to distribute within classrooms and within the walls of LCTI, in addition to making electronic versions, basically to better demonstrate local career opportunities in the Lehigh Valley for a given area of teaching that's handled by LCTI. So it's a very visual way to highlight what kind of opportunities are going to go along with any of the different careers that the LCTI handles. And they also provided a rather detailed overview of a 5-year facility project plan. Much of this is because they hired a new facilities person who's coming in with a lot of energy and has a lot of good ideas. But basically, they're going to tackle things that have to do with masonry, safety and security, modernization, energy renovations, code compliance, etc. And this is one of the reasons why the facility committee is being formed among JOC members. The meeting also incurred standard business items. One thing that does affect East Penn is they did approve the use. They approved use of funds to disperse excess revenues proportionally to each of the participating districts, which will be credited to district billing. I don't remember off the top of my head, but something between 50 and 100K, I think, is coming back to the district. We approved the Single Audit Act report, and another large point of discussion as we listened to what LCTI would like to do for the 2020-2021 budget. The primary point in discussion was to provide guidance on the size of the budget increase. There was a very strong case made for wanting to limit uncertainty in being able to fund the operations for the forthcoming year in terms of what could be going on with infrastructure contracts, et cetera. Ultimately, what was recommended that they put together a budget plan at the Act 1 index level of 2.6%, which I believe superintendents were already familiar with at that point. Next meeting is scheduled for next week on the 22nd, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Dr. Levinson? Okay, moving on. No other topics. We had an executive session before the meeting today where we covered personnel, real estate, and negotiation. The district offices will be closed on Monday, January 20th, and our next regular board meeting will be on January 27th at 7:30 here. Now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.